Don't you guys see? Don't you realize? He was a pro. He never made it this far. Look how far we've come. We've got a chance.
Chance at what, Mikey? Getting killed? Look, if we keep going, someone's really gonna get hurt. Maybe dead. Besides, we gotta get to the police.
Maybe Chunk already got to the police.
Maybe Chunk is dead.
Don't say that. Never say that. Goonies never say die.
I'm not a Goonie. I want to go home.
I forgot. But still, don't you realize? The next time you see Sky, it'll be over another town. The next time you take a test, it'll be in some other school. Our parents, they want the best of stuff for us. But right now they gotta do what's right for them. 'Cause it's their time. Their time. Up there. Down here, it's our time. It's our time down here. That's all over the second we ride up Troy's bucket.
Idaho Signal is on the air. My name is Matt Edwards. It's January 26, 2024. And folks, Goonies Never Say Die. The budget process that's going on right now, this budget battle of trying to pass these maintenance budgets, we've been talking about it all week. If you've been paying attention to the show, if you've been paying attention to our social media posts and getting the word out to help the Goonies pass this, there are folks out there that are on the fence. And little do they know, they probably think they're not Goonies, but they are Goonies. They are. And you saw in that clip there what we're trying to do. We're trying to motivate you folks out there because Goonies never say die. Look how far we have come. When Representative Wendy Horman and Senator Scott Grow, the co-chairs of JFAC, presented this idea to the committee and ultimately to the entire legislature about separating out these maintenance budgets so that government can be funded at its basic level, that way, and do it early in the process. That way we can spend the rest of the time figuring out how to fund other projects, how to increase spending, decrease spending in other areas of these agencies. This was set up to be the most transparent and way to do budgeting. It's incredible. This was an historic day. Wendy Horman mentioned that during the committee. I want to play that clip for you of Wendy Horman and Scott Grow talking about the most historic day in JFAC.
As you know, this is a historic day in JFAC as we contemplate different ways of doing our business that we believe are more transparent and accountable. So historically, we make statewide decisions later in session in about week 7. We're advancing that to week 2. So we will feel free to have all the discussions. We had lots of good discussion Friday. Feel free to ask your questions again today. So with that, Mr. Co-Chair, did you have any opening comments?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I'd like to take a few minutes if I may. Thank you very much. Some of you may wonder again, why are we doing this? And our goal, one of our goals, is to reduce the redundancy of working through things that we did last year that essentially are the same this year. So rather than spending time on all of those items and have to do it throughout the session, we're doing that up front. Now, why up front? Because that gives us an opportunity to begin to move budgets to the floor. In the past, as you recall, we wait until the very end, and we've got the last 2 or 3 weeks are just 100 budgets going to both floors and people get inundated with numbers. We're hopeful that by moving this process up and then focusing on the line items, all the things the governor's requested for this year, we can actually get into detail and have a more thorough review of his requests. And then we can begin moving budgets to the floor in a couple of weeks and throughout the session, so that both the floor as well as we in JFAC will be more thorough in our review. What's the base? Excuse me.
Okay.
First, let me just mention that.
So there you have it. The most historic day in JFAC. This was all about transparency, being efficient, moving these things up, getting the government funded, people not having to worry about things being held up at the last second of session, and just worrying about the finer details later down the line. These are their words. This is their fight. This is their fight. This is what they've been trying to do for a long time. And look how far they've come. So the good news is, and there is good news, is that during that meeting on that day, JFAC passed all 10 of these maintenance bills. And it was on a party line vote. I believe it was 15-3. There's 18 members of the JFAC. There's 15 Republicans and 3 Democrats. And all 15 Republicans voted yes on all of these maintenance budgets. And the 3 Democrats voted against them. They said no. They're going to tell you that some of their objections were because they don't like this process, or they're worried about not being able to go back and go into the bills to reopen them. And you know, what if they pass them and there's issues that come up later. And so that's why they were voting against it. But I don't know. Somewhere out there tells me that when you vote against a budget bill, that you're voting to defund whatever department that is. So I don't know. Maybe they're on record as wanting to, defund education. There's 3 Democrats voted against 2 education maintenance bills. So apparently they want to defund education now. Newsflash: Democrats want to defund education. But to this point, Senator Ward Engelking, who is on JFAC, wanted to question Wendy Horman about the process of what happens. How are they going to go about opening up these bills? So let's listen to her question.
Statutory provision. Senator Ward Engelking.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And just to be clear, once a budget's closed, and that means it has been voted on, it does require 2/3 vote to reopen it. That's in rules, that's in our joint rules, and rules are above custom and precedent, I think. So that's something we can work on later, but I think it's very clear that it's going to take a 2/3 vote at the minimum. Maybe unanimous consent will work. That'd be great. But if not, it's going to take a minimum of 2/3 of this body to reopen every budget to either add or subtract.
Thank you for sharing your opinion, Senator Ward Engelking. JFAC does not have any adopted rules. So we will be going on the custom that we established last session. Other questions of the committee?
Madam Chair, if I'm...
Okay, so she didn't give a full answer there because earlier she had already explained the process, and so I want to play that clip from earlier in the morning when she explained how they could go about making changes if the committee or the House or the Senate willed its way to that point. So let's play that clip. I want to show you their words. These are their words. This isn't me. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, folks. But we're just listening. We're paying attention. I love transparency, and I want it all to be delivered directly to you. That's what we're doing here. So let's play in their own words. Here's how it was explained to the Democrats and everybody else listening.
Start with our clerks. Our clerk on the House side has one interpretation of statute about establishing rules for the Joint Finance Appropriation Committee, and the secretary on the Senate has a different interpretation. The House clerk believes that we establish interim rules for operating during the interim, and that Senate, House, and joint rules apply to this committee. No other committee in the building has their own separate rules for operation during session. And our clerk believes this committee should not either. But because we do operate during the interim, that we should establish rules of operation during the interim that apply only during the interim. That problem bubbled up last session, and it was resolved one pay grade level above ours. And House and Senate leadership agreed to the voting structure that we currently use. There was concerns that the committee would begin to meet separately. There were concerns that the committee should be voting separately. The compromise was that we do vote as we always have, but we report by chamber those vote totals. And if we don't have a majority of either the House or the Senate, that bill either goes to a chamber and is returned, or is retained here in JFAC for further discussion until we can get a majority of House appropriations or Senate finance. As to your concerns that we will not take up further requests, I believe Senator Groh addressed that. We have an extensive schedule. It's public. We have every intention of meeting every day to continue to discuss line items, replacement items, things that come up during the session. And so you can choose to believe that we might not do that. I'm choosing to believe that we are going to meet every day and consider every agency's budget request, as we always do.
Bravo, Representative Horman, laying it out there plainly and succinctly. Go back and watch that again if you need to, because I did. I'm not going to lie, but it's laid out there succinctly. If you want to do the process, if you feel the need, you need to go back and open this up or debate more. The processes are there. There is plenty of time now to go through the rest of the session, read through things, consult with agencies, consult with your colleagues, and get it how you want it and argue your case. But right now, there apparently is these bills are being held hostage because they were voted on. Like I said at the top of the show, these bills went ahead after this presentation, after this opening introduction on that day, January 16, 2024. They voted for these maintenance bills. And all the Republicans voted for them. They all voted aye, and the Democrats voted nay against these bills. And now they are sitting there waiting to be brought before the Senate and different committees to go through to be heard, and that's not happening. So I don't know if the three Democrats are now holding them hostage. We don't know what it is, but the leadership. And we're going to focus on the Senate today. The leadership in the Senate is not allowing them to go. So I am looking for folks to contact. We've been having their numbers scroll down at the bottom. I'm looking for folks to contact leadership in the Senate and tell them to vote on these bills. This is all about transparency, folks. We want transparency. I mean, this is amazing. It's historic. These are their words. Historic, efficient, transparency. This is what we want. And so we've come this far, and we are not going to go up on Troy's bucket again and be saved by and think we're being saved and just going back home to our nice plush place and let everybody just go about the status quo. This is all about moving forward and bringing more transparency. Okay, we are going to take a quick break because when we come back, I want to dive in to who some of these leaders are that have been holding things up in the Senate for years. We have seen bills in the House get passed, the people's house. We have seen bills get passed that the people have elected representatives to go and fight for us. They make it their way out of the House, and then they end up stalled in the Senate. And they're not getting stalled in the Senate because people are debating them and new issues are arising. They're not even being brought up for debate. They're being put in a drawer and shelved. And we've been watching it. And so we're going to get into some of that when we come right back. So stick around.